Minutes from the meeting of
March 22nd.
22nd. Chance, oh, by the way, you weren't here.
Yeah, I know, I changed it. It's the new one has me.
Okay, you're here now.
Yeah, I'm here now.
Any corrections, changes?
Just on the last paragraph,
Jeez.
sorry.
Okay.
Yes,
Now what?
restoration,
What? Where?
on the very discussion
Restoration.
and restoration.
Okay. How come thing didn't catch that? He was gonna change the clock. What a guy.
That's all I got.
I make a motion with that correction to accept the minutes.
Section.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on.
So I got another phone call from Vincent Park. Mother-in-law still, she's in hospice, so they're still in New York and they're.
Can you specify why that's important? Because
Under informal, he was going to come in and ask us about some dead trees that he wanted to have taken down. And he was going to give us a plan and all that kind of stuff, but he is otherwise occupied, so he's not going to be here.
okay, so it says informal dead trees. Where is this?
Interlake and Crossroad, I forgot what the address was. I think it was 19.
Oh, yeah, no, I remember. Okay. I don't know if they remember, but I do.
But anyway, he's not here.
Okay, Bernard Hahn, that's continued. Wallenkamp, that's continued. 8 Hawthorne Road. Anyone here for that?
Sure. Mark Fulton for us. I'm pretty sure we have Elizabeth Goodman and Danny Pincus should be on.
Yes, they are.
And a colored plan, oh my God.
I always said a couple.
Yeah, but there haven't been many of those lately. Not from you, but.
Well, he does, but
Yeah, we missed them too because it's so much easier to read.
Can we see it up here?
Sure.
we've gotten from Brett White his review, peer review. Anyone seen that?
Yes.
Have you seen it?
I have not.
Got another copy.
Yeah, I had another one too, somewhere. It's already down here. Well, he
I
didn't,
thought it was pretty easy.
yeah.
His was.
Yeah,
No,
He seemed pretty okay with it.
no issues. There's one thing in there he's recommending as a condition. I probably agree with that. And you also got correspondence from Tom Ingersoll,
Yes.
and his was okay, and he's got some conditions that he would recommend in there
Yes.
also, which I would propose.
Okay.
So
This is Brent White.
Can I ask a question just on the plan? It was unclear at the site visit, but just so everybody out there kind of knows,
down to the end.
the White Pines Beach property extends where?
This property line is here.
Right.
This is all White Pines Beach.
So to dispel any concern, Jay Ryan and I walked back and forth on that over and over and over again and said, when this leafs in, the place is pretty much going to be invisible. So if anybody's concerned, which I was, about the Starship Enterprise being at the end of the lake, probably not going to see it. So that's my 2 cents.
We pretty much realized that from the first meeting. It was
Thing
the,
from Tom.
Well, I was in Colorado, so.
well, yeah, but it was the tree removal that really caught our attention more than anything.
Oh, I know that. And the canopy is important to critters and to the soil.
So. Does anyone else have any comments? Did
I didn't see Tom.
Just a quick comment on that. On the boat area, right here, down below.
Or this,
Know what they were?
That one.
the white pines.
What's is it pretty well vegetated in there?
It's only down to about here, and then it's open to the
I
shoreline.
printed it, put it.
There is vegetation through all of this area right here.
Which will screen from the light, the house.
Do you remember when?
Oh, it's still gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be 15, 20 feet
Mark
tall
can tell
there.
us.
Well, it was the
Thick
stuff that he
shrubs.
talked about at the meeting of how to deal with the various,
And can you remind me the square footage of the new house
Square footage of the new house overall
when it's,
how he was gonna go about it.
is
Yeah.
3,700.
37?
You're okay with it? You read it? You're okay with it? Okay.
Thought it was 27.
It's the first floor, so that's including deck.
Oh, well, all right, there's 2 floors, I don't care about it.
So your
How it goes.
first floor square footage is 2,784.
Okay.
and can you remind me how high it is from the ground to the?
So your bylaw is 6 feet outside the lowest point of the house.
Okay.
Lowest point of the house is to existing grade. So your lowest point is right here. And the elevation of the house not actually to this crest line, but out to here, and that's how your bylaw reads, is 34.5 feet.
Okay.
So
And I had a question about stump removal. So certainly stumps will be removed where the house will be. But is there any need to remove other stumps?
Next, April 26th meeting with town council on Dover Amendment A&R access question.
I don't think that's my answer.
So what I would probably propose is in the house location, and you can put this in as a condition, I don't have it written in any place, but in the house location, they're gonna have to, and in probably the septic location
Yep.
and in the infiltration area, they'll have to remove those stumps.
Yeah, sure.
In other locations, I would propose to grind it down below grade and cover it over.
And leave them.
And have it grind them, not remove them.
Okay.
Because
So
I would agree, that's
Yeah.
a lot of disturbance.
Yeah.
Pulling a stump.
Yep.
The
So can we put that as a
extension of the
condition?
driveway gonna go where any of these trees are?
The extension of the driveway is free of trees.
Okay,
Yeah.
that wouldn't work too well in the driveway.
No.
Grinding,
No.
Or no.
And 2 other conditions. I'd like to condition no more work in the buffer zone, that this is it.
I think that's sort of given
I-
by the plan, but that's,
Yeah, I'd still like it in there. And a pre-construction site visit.
I
we
think
can
that was,
see-
I think that was part of,
Yeah, actually, I think that, as we talked about at the site visit in here before, a sequence of work would really be helpful so that we can.
so the sequence, we have a schedule and a sequence through the LPOD. But I think as Brent is suggesting, which I don't have any problems with as a condition, is that once this is scheduled, and I don't know when this is going to be, they're talking possibly this fall starting. But once we get a contractor on board, we can give you a schedule of when it's starting, and we can get you a construction site visit, or alert you to it anyways.
demo site visit or something.
Yeah.
With the erosion controls.
With the erosion controls up, yeah, with those are installed. I would also propose, just to, make you guys maybe a little bit more comfortable, is, one of my things when I met with Tom Ingersoll yesterday, is having a certified arborist meet with the contractor prior to and through the construction phase. Just to, that would hopefully, soften some of that and make some assurance that those trees are being protected.
That he doesn't
So,
drop them in hole, that they come down.
I'm hopefully this is going to
In the
be
area of
done by Tom Ingersoll.
Okay.
He understands that. I can't guarantee that, But I've put that forward that probably that would be a good mix.
He
for
had a
this.
lot of suggestions about protecting the trees and, you know, keeping the root systems.
He also recommended an alternative to some of the species that we put in there, which I don't have any problems with, you know, diversifying some. Most of the species that we have in there are growing there. But he also said, you know, we could put in red oak and white oak. There is red oak on the site. There isn't any white oak, but there is native white oak, and it'd be a good mix down in the lower areas. And he also, which some people have a problem with, I don't have a problem with it, is suggesting putting in hemlocks as opposed to some of the balsam firs. I know you shake your head, but it's like the white ash. You know, if everybody out there is going to go out and just cut down all the white ash because they say that they're going to die, you're going to cut down a tree that might be resistant to it.
Yeah,
Same with the elms.
the town is spending so much money right now trying to treat the hemlocks in Ice Glen. I mean, it's bad. And we're seeing it in other places too. I'm not.
It is, but I would encourage it be planted to keep it going. It doesn't matter.
And I think the survival rate is.
It doesn't
not
matter.
right.
That's
I
not a
just
big.
have two questions while we're on the topic. Do you want the applicant to submit an updated tree list at closer to the time of planting?
Yes.
Okay. And then the second question I have is for the pre-construction site visits or other site visits, how much advance notice, is a week advance notice okay? Or what do you need?
7 days, 7 days.
7-day notice? Okay, great. Thank you.
And one other thing is that when
No more work.
notice the conditions have been written, there probably is going to be a little sign, a little line in there for the contractor sign off so that they understand what they are. And we would like to see that returned to us if that's possible.
I don't see any reason why not. It sounds reasonable.
We already have 75% survivability.
Yeah.
Is that already in there? Okay.
Anything else? Any other questions, discussions?
Thank you for your work.
Make a motion to close. All in favor?
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad you're here.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure here too. Good night, folks.
Hi, Mark.
Mark.
Okay,
All right.
2 Christian Hill Road.
I was unable to go to the site visit, so I'm sorry.
I had a note from building inspector about that.
Yeah.
And his maps showed where the pool was supposed to go. That was, may have been closer to the resource area than was marked on that little peg next to the trees. So,
What was the distance?
Whoever's phone is ringing, can you turn it off, please?
what did he say? It was 150 feet? 200? It wasn't 200, no.
Stephanie is here, I think. She was.
I'm here.
And so is Jim Harwood. It just reads Georgianne Harwood.
Do we have a big plan? I looked at it online. Tiny.
I can put it up on my screen if you guys want me to.
That'd be nice. Thank you.
Sure.
Have to open that.
So to answer, and I apologize, my video for some reason is not working.
Like. Planning board.
So the pool and most of the pool house are smack dab in between the 50 and 100-foot buffer.
So there's 75 feet, you mean?
Well, the corner of the pool, the corner of the in-ground pool is closer to the 50-foot buffer, and then the pool house crosses the 100-foot buffer and is farther than 100 feet. Can you see it on my screen?
Yeah, yes.
And did you think that wasn't correct? That 50 foot?
I came in today and Ed wasn't here, so I don't quite have.
Can you give us some idea what's going to be going into the pool house, like showers, toilets?
Sure. So the pool house is mostly a covered seating area. And then it has a small, maybe 6 or 7 feet wide by 3 or 4 feet deep enclosure for the pool equipment. And then it has a toilet and a sink, which is in a similar size space. And then it has a small changing area, which is maybe, again, similar size, maybe it's 6 by 6. So the building is about the building's maybe 12 feet perpendicular to the street. And it's probably, in a second, I just got to go to my drafting software. I can give you exact dimensions if you hold on a minute. But so it's basically 3/4 of it is a covered seating area, and 1/4 of it is those functions that I just described.
And what's the-
enclosure for the pool equipment, a toilet and a sink, and a little bit of a changing area.
So how much is going from pervious, what's the square footage of pervious to impervious?
Okay, I'll have to get all of that out. Hold on a second.
The dimensions for the pool, the dimensions of the pool house.
The pool is a 40 by 16, I believe.
So when I did the calculation for how much is going to be disturbed, so that includes all of the grading as well. It came up to about 3,000 square feet, but that includes all of the grading, the fence line, all of that. So it's not all impervious. That's just the disturbed area.
So what's the impervious?
The drop between here and
40 by 60 for the pool. Pool house dimensions are,
Hold on. The pool house dimensions are,
Feet, they're saying.
640.
so the part that includes the changing area and the,
98.
it's a 7.5 feet wide by,
So this has got it. Deep.
hold on. sorry.
97. About a
By
foot.
13.5 feet long. That's those 3 functions I described, and then the seating area is 13 feet long by 23 feet, 13 feet deep by 23 feet long.
Is that separate from the building itself?
No, that's under the roof. And so the roof is impervious. So the impervious roof is, you want an area or you want dimensions?
Not pool, stuff like
I want to know the total square footage of pervious to impervious. How much,
Pool, the patio, and the patio.
yeah, how much pervious is being
Well,
lost?
so the pool house is 410 square feet. The pool is
640.
640. And then there's, if the patio is soft set, I don't know what you're accustomed to considering that pervious or impervious.
What is the patio going to be made of? Do we have an idea yet?
Probably blue stone, but it might be another variety of stone. It'll be set with, 1/2-inch gaps on a sand base. I've actually shown what you're seeing there is the maximum it's going to be. It's likely that budget will drive it to be smaller. So the area of the patio, including the pool, is 1,300. So it's about 760 square feet of patio, 640 square feet of pool, and what did I tell you was the 400 square feet of pool house.
So about,
So 1,810 approximately.
Total square footage is closer to 1720.
okay. So what are you thinking of in terms of any kind of improvement? And I'm sorry I wasn't at the site visit, you may already know.
So what are we thinking of in terms of any kind of what?
Improvement. I mean, basically, you're taking 1,720 feet of what's now buffer and serves a function in that area.
Yeah, so
Cool.
I'm not disputing, but you should be clear, since you weren't at the site, that what's currently there is lawn and a garden with a weed barrier. The garden with the weed barrier is approximately exactly where the pool is. So it's not like, and I'm not minimizing, the importance of wetland. It's not like we're actually cutting into the wetlands. We're taking advantage of a cleared area to not have to clear the woods. If we went to the east, we'd be out of the buffer. There'd be tons of area that we could clear and we could put in a pool. So what are we offering? Among other things, we're offering not cutting down all those trees.
But that's not those trees aren't in our jurisdiction, as far as I know. Are they?
That's correct, but it's still, it's still part of the same mission, which is to not disturb the woodlands, right? So that's one of the things we're doing. And the other thing we're doing is indicated on the plan here with all that shaded planting area.
Shaded planting area.
So if you see here to the left,
This is
where
it. This is
it's
it.
shaded in a light blue right here.
Yep.
So we were suggesting that this is a good spot, that all along here is the current tree line. Just expanding the natural area out a little bit further with some native non-invasive species, preferably mostly shrubs, but if you would prefer a few larger trees, we can consider it. Speaking of hemlocks, there's a row of hemlocks right here. I don't know if anybody on the site noticed them and if they believe that they were in good enough condition to keep, but those would be protected and continued to live there, being that they're outside of the fence line, outside of the straw bale line. They shouldn't be disturbed for the construction.
Right, and it's client intends to, I mean, so you weren't at the site visit, but if you were at the site visit, you would look at this and say it's a very logical place for a pool, a patio, and a small pool shed. So it makes much more sense, even though it's outside your jurisdiction, it's still habitat for wildlife. It makes much more sense than clearing habitat, because we could clear the habitat for the wildlife, leave this lawn area as lawn area with a garden, and I think it would be a worse solution for the community.
So swimming pools typically are drained sometime in their lifetime, and they typically have chlorine in them. Is there a plan to stuff this out into some truck and take it away, or what's the story here?
So chlorine should, it will dissipate over the course of 3 to 5 days. And I actually had noted on my plan here that any water that will be discharged from the pool needs to be tested before it's discharged for chlorine.
We could make it worse.
Now, you're gonna have to translate that for me here a bit, because you're gonna discharge it where?
So I would add to that. So basically a pool is chlorinated because you keep it chlorinated. And once you stop chlorinating it, eventually the chlorine will dissipate. Then we have a bunch of water to dispose of. And the way pools.
Green water.
What's that?
Green water.
Yes. The way I understand that pools are filled and drained is by truck.
We would need some sort of guarantee of that it's not going to go in the wetland.
And we can just make that a stipulation of the approval.
And is there a species list of what's being planted there?
There is.
And where is that?
I have it right here.
I can't.
That's on here.
Planting note.
Not in 100 years. I read that.
I don't
Can you
see
see it now, guys?
Yeah, we can see it, it's just not here.
Not a chance.
I can only see it there. That's a very-
Can you
Can we
see it on
vote?
my screen? You want it larger?
I can see it
If
on
we-
your screen.
Can we make this a larger copy?
Yeah,
Well,
can
so
you-
you should be looking at 24 by 36-inch copies in this case. I think that will be,
But it
size.
doesn't have the planting.
There's no planting list on here.
We have
No,
a,
the original copy, if you don't have one that says revision 1, it does not have a planting list on it.
Yeah,
That
let's-
one was not, that's the original that was sent to you guys. And then after speaking with you at the last meeting, I added a planting list. And you can see it, if you can see up on my screen, these are the suggestions. If you have other suggestions, and we'd also like you to consider the possibility of that area being shrub only. If you really want a few trees, let us know. Maybe we can put a couple trees in there. The client would prefer only shrubs in that area.
So the tree planting list is not accurate?
The tree planting list is accurate. We're just suggesting that we'd prefer not to plant those trees. The suggestion here is they will choose from this menu to plant that area, and their preference is they don't want an appetizer. They just want the main course, which is the shrub planting list. But again, we're here talking to you about your concerns and ready to address them.
Also, no problem.
I don't think the trees are gonna add anything. I think if you make up with shrubs to replace the trees that we don't plant, I'm okay with that. I don't know how many trees you got on there. Tulip tree, green ash, sugar maple, paper birch, hornbeam. Are those individual trees? There's no number.
No,
No,
so
those are just suggestions of plantings, that if the client wanted to plant a tree, this is the list that they would choose from.
All right, okay.
So can you tell us how many and what size you're thinking? If you're thinking of just shrubs,
Yes, so
how many are you planting? What size are they?
So we're gonna do clusters of 3 of the shrubs. And in my calculations, we could do 6 clusters and 4 trees, or we could just do 10 clusters of 3. So if you see them here, the big circles and little circles, can you guys see that?
Yep.
Each of those, the larger circles are 20 feet, the smaller circles are 10 feet. And so each of those circles represents a cluster of 3 shrubs, and the larger ones are just larger because that's how we could fit trees in if you guys really wanted trees. So we're talking 10 clusters of 3.
Explain this planting area. Is this gonna be mulched in afterwards? Is it gonna be naturalized shrubs with whatever grows around them? Or is this like a landscape type thing with mulch and tree plantings and?
Lawn.
Well, to be honest, the goal here is to create a framework that gives you guys what you want and gives a landscaper the ability to implement it in a way that makes sense on the site. With the understanding that you have the opportunity to come back and look to make sure we held up our end of the bargain.
How far is the pool house from the wetland?
At its closest, it
Yep.
looks like it's about 60 feet.
What they're doing.
From the wetland or from the 50-foot buffer? It looks like it's about, 50 plus 30. It looks like it's 80 feet. It's 30 feet from the 50-foot buffer is what I see.
That, according to the map, that doesn't look right.
Well, I don't know that I have,
Yeah.
I don't know that I have the ability to measure that, but it doesn't look like it's halfway between the 50-foot and the 100-foot buffer. It looks like it's a little closer to the 100-foot buffer.
I agree. It looks like it's about 80 feet. Are you guys concerned that when you were in the field, you thought that it seemed closer to the wetland? Is that what you're suggesting?
We're looking at the map.
Yes.
When we were there, all we saw was one stake against a tree.
We had a few different landmarks, but it's true that we did not stake out the pool, and for that I apologize. There's no question, but we had a planting area that is visible.
So can we ask for that?
So see this right here? There are some wood posts. I'll be honest, I have not seen the site myself. Maybe Jim, you can clarify. we even have wood posts mentioned on our plan, and those are wood posts that are left over from a garden or something else that had happened there. It has nothing to do with this project.
Yeah, it's not that left over. There's wood posts and there's a garden bed and it has a weed barrier. And it is, if you could zoom in more, you might be able to actually make it out in this drawing.
So this is begging another site visit, you know?
Well, I don't know about that because the people that were at the site visit, we relayed where the pool was in relation to the landmarks on the ground, but there were only 2 people at the site visit.
Were you comfortable with it? No. Okay, because,
So the shaded area that you're talking about planting, you have what looks as though it should be a silt fence on the wetland side of the planting area. How far is that from the buffer?
So we,
From the wetland, I mean, sorry,
About 30 feet.
30 feet. So you're disturbing an area within 30 feet of the wetland, is that correct?
No, what we're doing is taking a lawned area within 30 feet of the wetland and converting it back to a planted area according to a set of species that you agree to.
Right, but you're going to be,
If you prefer that we don't disturb that, we won't.
you are going to be having machinery in there to dig the holes, I'm assuming, so there will be work done there.
And
Unless you prefer that we don't perform work there, in which case we won't.
Hill Road is sewer.
is there sewer?
I think we're better off with plantings in there.
the
Otherwise,
only reason that,
otherwise it's gonna be mowed lawn.
right. And the only reason that silt fence is there is to catch anything that might drift off while the plantings are going in.
Unless.
It's a little unusual to be proposing a remediation that, you know, you're asking for and then being told that that's a disturbance.
This is stone.
You proposed it.
Okay.
We didn't necessarily ask for it, but you proposed it. You said that's what you wanted to do in order to improve the site. And so we're
And if you prefer that we don't, we won't.
what's there.
If you prefer that we don't, we're happy not to.
And also, do we have a sighting of what I believe is a vernal pool on this property?
So what you're referring to may or may not be a vernal pool. It's in excess of 300 feet and on the other side of a steep hill. I
Yes.
believe we've located it on the locust plan, and I don't think it pertains to this application. It's in fact right on the edge of the property and maybe almost entirely off the property.
We're
And I
still,
believe-
we're
yeah,
still
if it-
interested in where this potential vernal pool is.
I believe it's indicated, is it indicated in the plot plan on the upper right corner? So Mike was going to add that to the drawing.
No, but we talked about it today, and I believe that it's over here, Jim. Is that where you guys saw it? Way up
Well,
next to the neighbor?
from what I can tell from the access site is it's right where that corner is. Just scroll down a little bit, right where the corner of the property line is. Scroll down.
I don't have any more. That's it. Our-
So there's a little hook in the property below your cursor, right there. It's right in that corner, and I believe that a little bit of it is on the property and a lot of it is off the property. It's right there.
All right, so Mike's gonna give us a revised map with that general location on it.
I believe that it was mapped, that we've mapped it, that Berkshire Engineering's mapped it, so we can tell you where we mapped it.
Okay, so we're going to need an updated plan.
And also a question for you brought up by my colleague Jamie Manassi, and that is, on here, we see overhead wires and we see water, but we don't see any sewer. Is there sewer hookup to this house and to the pool house and whatever? And if not, where's the septic system?
There is no septic system, there's sewer.
Where's the sewer?
Here, right here.
Sewer.
Yeah, I see it down here.
And the bathroom in the pool house is going to hook up to that?
Yes, that's why we have a sewer line.
So you're going to be outside the 100-foot buffer zone when you dig out to the sewer?
Correct.
And the house is not on the sewer, or it is?
House is on the sewer, but it's up the hill. It'll be a separate connection.
I see that.
An existing-
Is that forthcoming, or is that, what's the story there? I mean,
The house has been around for a couple
what
hundred
exists,
years.
what exists there now?
The house exists.
I got that.
It's connected to the sewer
Okay,
and has been for a long time. I can't tell you how long.
all right. Just curious. You said it's going to be hooked up to the sewer.
No. Like the house is on its own
Way up here.
sewer connection that's existed for, at least 18 months that I know of. But I think it's been probably decades and maybe much longer.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, so I'm in favor of the plantings. Whether or not you put trees in there, I don't see any gain from the trees over the additional shrubbery. If you do the planting, you're gonna need erosion control on the wetland side,
It shows that.
as well as around the rest of the disturbed area, at least on the downhill side.
We're showing
Now,
all,
that would be the west and the north sides.
correct.
It shows erosion control.
Does it show everything? Any comments?
We want to make sure 75% of the plantings survive for 3 years, and if not, to be replanted. And I would like to see pre-construction site visits before the work starts, so we can see the erosion controls.
And it also can't move beyond where it's placed on the map, right? They can't push it out any further, right?
It's a fairly steep.
Great.
It's
The site
kind
is-
of cupped for a while and then it goes up a hill. And then the house is considerably higher than what this is. This is a fair distance from the house, the existing house.
Yeah.
It's a little-
Honestly, we had hoped to locate it closer to the road, which would have pulled it further out of the buffer zone, but zoning prohibits that.
Any other questions?
Yeah, we need the new plan though.
All right, could you have Mike send us that new plan?
Yes,
New
so
plan is gonna
on the
be-
new,
Yeah, go ahead.
on the new plan, you're happy with what you see. You would like the vernal pool mapped? Is that what you're asking?
It doesn't have to be, like down to the last millimeter. It just has to be a general location of where it is.
They're saying that it's a
Potential vernal pool.
potential.
I think we're gonna call it a wet depression because we don't know what it is, but we'll be happy to locate it.
All right.
Okay.
And the plantings that you're proposing should be on that plan as well, because we don't have it on the one we have.
But we're okay if we pull the trees and just go with the shrubs.
I'm all right with that.
It's okay.
Is that the consensus? Because we don't want to do that if it's not going to make you happy, right? We're willing to work with you. We're just telling you what the client's preference is.
I think the big trees that are there now will be sufficient.
Okay, great. So we'll alter that planting slightly as well.
All right, so until we get the other drawings and your list of plantings, we'll continue this and then,
And the next meeting is when?
26th.
Of April.
then you should be all set.
Great. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Good night.
15 Lakeview Drive.
Oh, that's me too.
All right, demolish, rebuild. House, driveway, walkways, planting. Do we have a copy of this, Kelly? Anything?
Yep.
We saw this, right? This is a site visit?
15 Lake.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it.
We haven't seen it?
What did we go to the other day?
And it wasn't that, was
It
it?
was
different?
38 or 58.
Yeah.
It was further down.
15, like,
Lakeview was entirely, that's over the other side of the lake.
oh, yeah.
It's on the,
They're on Lake Drive.
Oh, right.
So we need to get some idea what they're up to and go to the site visit.
Right.
This is just down, hi, it's David Potter, Green River Design. It's just down the hill from Mintz Project, which is also mine, which is nearing completion.
Okay, you got something to show us?
Stephanie with Berkshire Engineering is going to take that.
Yes, I am. Okay, so this is the plan you guys received. Right now, there is a single-family home on the property. That is this lighter gray outline. The property is very steep. It slopes from Lakefield Drive straight down to the lake. So what we're proposing is to take down the existing building, move it back away from the lake a little further, and build a new building while improving the slopes with a few retaining walls, adding a rain garden up here in the northwest corner, and generally slowing down the stormwater, which I know is something we've talked a lot about. A little bit of parking. Basically, everything here is going to be pervious except for the house.
How big is the lot, please? Do we have a size on the lot?
Yes, it is 0.35 acres.
wait, what?
3.5.
0.35.
I'm not real clear on where it is.
And how big is the new house square footage?
Do you know off the top of your head? So I don't know the total square footage, but
I can tell you,
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Tell me where it is.
proposed house, I have a coverage and mass drawing. Coverage for the first floor is 1332. It's just a single story with a walkout lower level. There's no second floor. We have a 150 square foot screen porch and a 42 square foot front porch. Total coverage is 1524 square feet, which is 9.9%. Mass is 2431 square feet, which is 15.9%.
Okay, thank you.
You're gonna be on sewer?
And
We are on sewer, where the intention is to move this house, hugging the front setback, getting it away from the water, and raising it up so that we have access more directly from the existing road there. My calculation on the LPOD was 14,980. 15% disturbance allowed is 2247. Impermeable coverage is 1744. So we're well below the 15% in the LPOD.
And what's where the existing house, where the new house will go? What's there right now?
The existing house is there right now.
Where the new house.
Go is the existing driveway and parking.
Okay, and what's the size of the new parking? So you're not removing trees to put in a new house, correct?
I don't believe we're taking out any trees. All the existing trees are shown on there. I'm not showing any of them as being removed.
Okay.
Actually, some of them, this is the owner, hi. A few of them very close to the house will get removed in the construction process. And that's why we've proposed putting in 4 river birches, paper birches. There'll also be a river birch put in the rain garden. And quite frankly, I'm a gardener. I'm going to add more trees, to be honest.
So can you flag everything that will be taken down for when we do the site visit, so we can see what's coming down?
Yeah, Stephanie, I think I spoke with Mike and you guys are gonna do that, right?
I have, I'm sorry, I should have looked at the left side of my drawing. I am showing trees being removed, which Gail is referring to. That's Gail Benicola, the owner. If you want to put up my screen, you can see those trees on the, on my drawing, which is the architectural drawing, not the civil engineering drawing. Can I share my screen?
Sure. You can.
Go ahead, David.
See it?
I can see it. I can't see what I'm seeing.
All right. This is my site plan. So on the left here, we're showing the existing site. Here's Lakeview Drive. Just 2 houses up is Mintz, the contemporary of mine that's nearing completion. So that's where it is. Existing driveway comes down into the existing parking area, and the existing house is here, which will be removed. You know, it's a postage stamp size lot. We're doing the best we can to keep things away from sensitive areas and still keeping within setbacks that are required or no closer than existing, which is allowed. So these are the trees here in the existing section, existing plan. There's a maple being removed, 12-inch maple, 25-inch pine, and 22-inch maple. 1, 2, 3, 5 trees. And then the new house is going to be hugging the front setback line. We have it's just a pull-in parking area. All impervious walkway. Some retaining walls holding up the grade here. This is all be fill coming in on this side. And then we have a impervious terrace on the back, which will basically be right where the existing house is. We're almost completely outside of the 50-foot line.
So can you, I don't know if you have it now, but for the site visit, can you tell us how much is going from pervious to impervious? What's the net loss of pervious? Because that's a lot of impervious, and you're moving the house, but where the house was is still
So the
going to
only impervious is the house itself.
right, but there's going to be an impervious patio where the house
Oh, I'm
was.
sorry. I think that David misspoke. I think he meant pervious patio.
Right.
Okay, you said impervious.
Impervious, yeah, I'm sorry.
Said
I'm a
impervious.
little dyslexic and I get my words mixed up.
Okay, no, that's okay. But if you
The
can
only
still,
impervious is the residence itself. Everything else on the lot is designed to be
pervious.
impervious.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And yeah, my calculation was that we're well within the LPOD, 15%.
And have you made allowances for the new runoff from the pervious house?
That's Stephanie could speak to that. You can share her drawing with the rain garden and the mitigations for that.
Did you guys see that when I had it pulled up earlier?
Go ahead and pull yours up, Stephanie. You can show the rain gardens.
Yeah. I would love to if I can figure out how to do that.
Green share button at the bottom.
While she's working on that, how many square foot is the original house?
Okay, we'll go back to my plan. It keeps going full screen on me. Existing house coverage, first floor is 852. There's an 164 screen porch and 176 in decks. It's a single story. So total coverage is 1192, which is 7.8%.
And the new one was
We're gonna
15%?
max out at 9.9%, 1524 for coverage.
Okay, so
And what is happening with the old house? What is your plan?
It's demolished and removed.
Okay, and what is the new house going to be? What is the foundational material?
It's a concrete wall, concrete foundation wall, walkout lower level.
Crawl space or basement?
It's a walkout lower level, which is the basement, so no crawl space. It's a lower level basement with a walkout.
So basically it's a downstairs sliding glass.
Yeah, I can show you, I can show you some elevations if you want to see them. Share my screen quick.
How far is the house, the new house from the resource area now?
The new house is hugging the 50-foot buffer line.
Hugging, meaning what?
Right there.
It's
See
right.
this edge here, the lakeside edge is hugging a 50-foot wetland setback. The wetland setback's marked here, so there's just one chunk of it right here. I guess you're not, are you looking at my
Yes,
drawing?
No, we're not looking at your screen.
All right,
Yeah.
when we do our site visit,
This is where it's hugging, this corner right here. Here's the 50-foot setback line right here, this dashed line. It kind of goes all over the place. Go through the middle of the existing house.
We can't really see it, David.
The new house is barely touching it here in this area here.
We can't really see it very well.
Yeah, it's hard to do these drawings with all these lines and make it clear, but yeah, we're hugging the front property line, so doing the best we can here.
So there is a corner of the house that's basically sitting on the 50-foot buffer line. All the other portions of the house are further than the 50 feet.
Yes.
And the screened-in porch will remain a screened-in porch, or is there, do you want to create another room?
No, it will remain a screened-in porch.
By right, they can make it into a room.
They can. Oh,
It doesn't change any of the numbers.
So if you have a screened-in porch, it's considered part of your building footprint.
Yes,
So you
in my
can-
mass calculations, the screened-in porch is part of the mass calculation. So
that doesn't
if you wanted to
change.
make it heated space, they could.
Again, when we do our site visit, want the driveway flagged, the patio or whatever that's going to be flagged, and your 50-foot markers somewhere there where we can see things out.
And planting plan of what's going where.
So each tree that's gonna be removed, like to have a ribbon around it or some such thing.
And we would probably ask that you keep the stumps, not pull out the stumps for those big trees coming out,
Unless it's got something to do with your foundation.
unless it's too close, yeah.
I think there's a lot of disturbance. What, I didn't get that last part. You want them removed or?
Well, if it's too close to the foundation, then of course it's gonna be removed, but until we see what the slope is on your property.
So are all the trees that are 4 inches and larger marked on this plan?
Stephanie?
Are all the trees that are 4 inches and larger marked on this plan?
I don't know, this is David's plan. David, when you did
Stop
these,
sharing.
you're still sharing?
I'll
Yeah.
stop sharing.
So
Okay,
You can share.
okay.
Gonna have to see what this looks like anyway.
I mean, let's do a site visit.
Yeah.
Yes, we would like you guys to do a site visit. We just want to make sure we got everything you want at the site visit.
Well, I want to see every tree that's coming down, I'd like flagged regardless of the size,
Okay,
so we can really see what's coming out of there.
that sounds fine. So to answer your question earlier about the rain garden, that's this segment right here. And it's graded so that there's a depression right there at the bottom. Here is the edge of the lake. And this circle is hopefully all of the water, see it's going to come down. And then these are the plantings that they're going to be putting in. I'm looking, I have it listed what we have. Rain garden. You will have 1 river birch and 2 red osier dogwood for the replanting plan. Right here.
All right. Who's available when?
And I don't see, I see large trees marked on the plans, but I don't necessarily see trees that are 4 inches and larger marked on the plans, which are we're asking for now.
Okay.
Monday's a holiday.
Because too soon old, too late smart, as they say. Too
Yeah, no, I want to see
soon old,
everything
too late
that's,
smart.
everything that's coming down.
Thursday next week?
Thursday, the 21st.
Okay, after 2:30.
Next Thursday, all right, for someone from your,
Are you talking about the site visit?
yes,
Yes.
Thursday, 3 o'clock, the 21st?
Already
Sounds
at
good.
3 o'clock Thursday.
I didn't hear.
Thursday, the 21st at 3?
Yeah.
I'll try and change mine.
3 p.m.
And everything will be flagged by then?
Yes, I have the driveway, the patio, the trees being removed, and the 50-foot buffer marks.
Well, you also want the house flagged, won't you?
Yeah.
Yes, the corners of the house.
Corners of the house.
Stephanie, your office can do that by next Thursday?
I believe so. I will coordinate with you, David, if it becomes an issue.
That's not this Thursday. It's,
Mhm.
it's a week from Thursday.
And
Yep.
do we have a written notice of intent? I saw the plans, but I didn't see the NOI.
Yes, you should.
Great, thank you.
Can I drop it in there or go with the house looks like? I'm not this heavy, so it's really. All right, 3 PM, the 21st at 13 Lakeview Drive.
No, 15 Lakeview.
15. Number on, is there a number on that house?
Yeah, that'd be nice to know.
Yes, I think so. If not, I'll put one.
Even if it's a cardboard sign with magic marker for now.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll see you on the 21st.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You all have a great night.
You too now. We have 2 to sign.
3 o'clock or 3:30?
3.
3.
Okay.
Lucked out on that last one.
Yep. I'm telling you, you got to keep an eye on me for about the next month.
Well, it's a good thing you called, or I've been there at 3:30. Okay,
Because, you know,
what do we have?
yeah, I've got one other set of plans to go with this. Somebody's hoarding down there.
Plans back this way. Okay, we have to sign for 3 Ice Glen Road and 78 Interlaken Road. Basic removal for the 78 Ingersoll.
Yeah.
Upcoming other business, 36 Lake Drive.
Okay, that's kissing the limit of how much you can build on on a lot.
That's planning board.
Is just not good.
Well, I've been banging on a can that would include the area of a new septic system.
They don't have a septic, they've got.
No, I know, but in the case that we are confronted with something with the septic system, maybe Hawthorne, that 10% also include the septic system.
That's a bylaw change.
I know that. I'm just telling you the can I'm beginning to.
So we have to, there are a number of things that I think that the planning board and
If anybody would like to
look at.
join with me at a planning board meeting,
Yes.
I can do that.
'Cause I think we're seeing too many of these properties that are just squeezing everything they can into this.
Exactly.
The lake is gonna be nothing anybody wants to have anything to do with pretty soon.
And has planning board always had the LOPD or the lake and pond overlay?
They have up to this
They
point.
have up until this point, there's debate as to whether it should be transferred to the Conservation Commission so that we're not both regulating the same piece of property. I've said before, and, I mean, they've got a lot on their plates in planning, but I don't think that they really look at the Lake and Pond Overlay District in the way that I think it needs to be looked at.
I don't think that they want to either.
No, I don't think that's either, but be that as it may, I think if we have any hope of saving the lake and the other resource areas in this town, we have a lot. I mean, we have the river, we have the lakes, we have ponds, we have the water supply, we've got Agawam, we've got
Rivers.
Averick, we've got
Swamps.
we've got, just about everywhere you look in town, there's some sort of resource area. And I think that we are just going to we're going to build up every square inch of the town and to the detriment of what we're supposed to protect.
Sally,
Yes.
there was an interesting article in today's paper about the relationship between climate change and the giant increase in septic failure. And it's one thing if you have 3 or 4 acres and you can move it to a different part of your property, but when people horseshoe, whatever it's called, shoehorn in the only place to do septic and there ain't no place to move it, what happens if your septic system fails? You literally cannot occupy the building.
Well, now.
You're building on top of the old one now.
No, wait a minute. Being a victim that was put out of business by such a device, there is such a thing called a tight tank.
Well, I'm just saying, what are you gonna do?
Which, when you have a restaurant, is like, $120 a day. That you look at people coming through the door and they might as well not even be there. So property owners should keep that in mind, because if it turns into a tight tank, it becomes a serious expense.
Right.
We, when we built our septic, you had to have 2 fields in our property. So you had to have one for your original septic and you had to have one in case it failed.
When did that change?
You need a reserve, that's it.
Yeah, you have to have reserve in case your field.
How are we getting away with these other ones on top, like eat Hawthorne?
I do not know, Ron.
Yeah, I'd like to know the answer.
It's a different technology, I'm sure. But Patrick is absolutely right. And this is something that I've been talking about for, I don't know how many years. And I'm sure everybody's tired of hearing it, but I'm not tired of saying it because I'm getting cranky in my old age. And,
Being cranky.
I'm not
We
going
were
there.
younger too, don't worry.
okay, I'm getting crankier in my old age than that case. But I've been saying, we've been looking in the MAC conferences now for 25 years. We've been looking at what's going to happen when the climate, as the climate changes. And we know that the climate is changing. We already know that we're 2 degrees or more above. We already know that we have storms like we've never seen before. We know the water table is rising everywhere. And we know that if they're going to squeeze their septic systems into an area that's just barely outside of the buffer zone, in another 50 years, it's going to be in the buffer zone.
Or a resource area.
Or the resource area, and they're going to have, as you point out, failed systems. And if the systems fail, guess where it all goes? And we are not doing anything about it. We have done nothing to change our zoning. We've done, we approve these things because we pretty much have to. But it's going to come back and bite
We are doing,
my grandchildren.
we have applied for a 6-figure land use grant from MVP, and the initial feedback we got was that they very much supported it.
And are they going to,
It's a townwide land use MVP grant.
and is that going to talk about what's going to happen when the water
It's all
table
climate related.
goes
That's
up?
what those grants are.
Okay. But how are we going to make that part of our world?
Makes a set of recommendations, and then the town voters, as always is the case, have the ability to impact on it.
But do the town voters understand what they're getting themselves into?
That's what town meeting is all about.
Education.
Still trying to see.
Marie, okay, got an opening? We can't hear you though, you're muted.
Muted.
You're muted.
Oh, still can't hear you.
Yeah, maybe I got her.
Can see you.
Wait a minute.
Can't read your lips.
No, you're loud.
Your mic isn't working.
According to me.
What?
She's live according to this. Oh, wait, no, you're not.
Hang on.
She's muted. Now she's unmuted. Try now.
Try again.
No.
No,
It might be her microphone is dead.
Can you see your microphone, Marie? Because you're okay here.
Put it in chat.
She said maybe trouble with it.
There, she did something.
but anyways, if you can still hear us, we'd be interested in coming to a planning board meeting.
Good, because we need to discuss these things. We have a lot of,
When do they meet?
we have a lot of issues
think it's
in common.
The two is either we don't.
We are facing, the build out of this town in ways that it's never been built out before. I mean, I just drive up Prospect Hill and if anything that isn't already being built is being built bigger.
Yep.
And it's true everywhere. You look around the lake, pretty soon there's not going to be a square inch of green anything
Or a
around the
tree.
lake. There aren't going to be any trees. We've got to get a grip on this before it's too late, and it might already be.
Do we have an update on the conservation?
You know, one of the things, Marie, like, before you disappear,
Those
Lake and Pond Overlay District,
are still putting their business.
I really believe that, and Charlie Kenny, I believe, is on board with this, that sooner or later, preferably sooner, we need to get a map of the watershed into Stockbridge Bowl, which is part of the Lake and Pond Overlay District, because
The watershed maps.
we don't have a watershed map.
Yeah, we do.
It includes like Richmond Road and behind Rapallo and no.
Yeah, it's all been done. It just needs,
Some upgrading.
Is that the Berkshire Natural Resources map selling that we did?
there are several maps. There are ones that were done by GZA. There were maps that were done by, what's the big fat one that we have?
I think she's right.
Well, that then lends,
Answer, they've been doing maps of the watershed for a long
okay,
time.
so that then lends itself to who in the watershed has a past septic system. The septic
I don't know
system.
how you get that information.
Well, I have had a conversation with Charlie Kenny, and I think the Tri-Town Board of Health probably has that information.
They don't,
They wouldn't go out and look at a septic system just for the heck of it. They're like.
To
we
buy
are.
or sell.
They are responsive.
But there are
to
dates
application.
put on things like when the septic system was installed.
It's the homeowner's responsibility to have
Yeah.
it pumped or cleaned or
Well, I
whatever.
know that because I have had that whole thing, but
Yeah, but if you're living in a house that was built in, you know,
In 1980.
1980, odds are your septic system, if you have one, is not entirely functional.
It's
And
near- it's
unless
near
you
its
go,
lifespan.
unless you go to sell your house and you have a Title V done,
no, that brings everything.
that's when Tri-Town comes in and takes a look at it and says, whoops, or this is good.
Other
But
reasons-
they don't do it just on a, you know, they don't just do it just because they probably ought to.
Well, there are other reasons for my concern, and, you know, the whole algae thing that occurred at Stockbridge Bowl. You know, having worked at a local farm when I was 14 years old and knowing the watershed that comes down from that local farm, I'm fairly certain that maybe it contributed very seriously to that algae bloom. You know, what we can do about it, I don't know, you know, but the fact of the matter is that it exists. I mean,
But I'm not sure that farming, although I can say that I have no doubt that the farming regulations that have all the exemptions for this, that, and the other thing should not have the exemptions anymore. I mean, you know, the pollution that we used to look at as being a necessary factor in our lives for us in order to have food, which, you know, case could be made. They've never, at least to the best of my knowledge, they've never gone back and said, okay, so yeah, you have an exemption, but really you should be doing something about it.
well, the place to test the water that's coming down from that farm is on Bean Hill Road and the culvert that goes under it. And another can I've been banging on that hasn't been.
Well, it goes into Lily Pond for sure.
Goes into Lily Pond, but eventually it goes into the lake. But, so anyway, let's move on.
Performance standards?
Have they gone to the attorney? Please say yes.
The attorney?
They haven't gone back to the attorney. Do we have the final doc? You
I sent
sent me
them to
you sent me a document, but you said you weren't sure whether it was the final.
No, I sent you the final one.
It is the final one. Okay, I'll make sure to get it to them.
It was final.
Quick question, how many people are on the Conservation Commission in general, statutorily?
So,
7.
Because you know, you have 8 people listed on the website.
Well, we have 9.
we have alternatives.
We have alternatives.
Okay, so 7 plus 2
7 plus
alternatives.
2, yeah.
So does everybody want a promotion? Because I think we've got,
Well, one has never shown up.
I'm saying, you know, yeah.
The one person,
Alternates.
the one person who was an alternate who has never, ever, 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 ever shown up to a meeting
Or
Let's forget that.
answered an email.
or another.
But for the 7 who do show up, you know. is
We
there
need
any
it.
reason not to all be full members if anyone's an alternate? I'm just asking.
There's only just the one alternate at the moment.
No, I thought he dropped out of the whole thing.
No, we
Aren't
have
we all-
another alternate, which is the person who's never shown up for a
The
single.
person who never showed up told
Can
me
we
once upon a
replace-
time that he's never been asked to show up.
We're all full members.
We
Is
didn't.
that true? I'm just asking if anyone needs to be elevated and if that's a role of ours. I don't know. I'm asking.
No, not at the time, this time, I don't think. But I do think we need to, that you should review the alternate that has never shown up to a meeting.
I also think that maybe Monument
Ever.
National High School
Ever.
might become involved, but that's just my fantasy.
Right,
So
as-
basically what you see tonight is what we've got.
Yes.
Well, Jay Ryan
Because
comes.
Jay has been overwhelmed by his work schedule and
Yeah.
can't manage.
But if,
But you need actually more members
Yes, we do.
too. Okay. And we have a bill that expressed an interest. I'll reach out to him.
We have someone who's interested.
You met him, next to 20 Mackinac.
Oh, I
Oh, what
know.
truck?
I forgot his
I don't want to mention
name.
him, talking about.
Either-
Yes, that he would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Tell him, come on down.
Come talk to us someday.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So where are we at
He's
here?
even a
Make a
little,
motion
he's
to
even a little
adjourn?
younger than
No.
some of us,
No.
I think.
What do you got, John?
You have more?
No, I'll make a pass this time around. Next time it'll come up.
No, we still got,
It needs to be greened in a little bit more to bring up what I want to bring up. Things need to grow. You like growing things.
What are we growing?
I just want the world to green in a little bit, but you know, this whole Greg Wellenkamp 28, I mean, he's ignoring this.
Yes, he is.
And, you know, the whole thing with 16 Beechwood
Yep.
Drive, I mean, that keeps flopping up here time after time after time.
Yes, it does. And Mark Volk said, that, I don't know, a few meetings ago that he was going to put a bee in their bonnet, but apparently that hasn't been successful.
Okay. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
So Ron, can you hear me now?
Yes.
yes,
Hi.
welcome.
I just wanted you to know the planning board is also concerned with people pushing to the edge of that 10% lot limit in the LPOD, and we are talking about how you get a bylaw changed for that. And if you'd like to be part of that conversation, it would be great. I think we need, I
Yes.
think we'd like to join with you or somehow. Do you have something set up, Ron, or no?
No, I'm just concerned about these non-conforming lots that have,
Well, so are we. And
that have
that
now
was,
become mega houses.
well,
Getting
that's
bigger.
exactly. And our last two meetings, we've discussed how we, you know, if we change the bylaw, it will be of help. If we say it's 10% and a guy does 9.98, he's under the law. So if we don't like that, we need to change the bylaw, and that's what we're working on. You know,
My
and I
thought,
think I'd love to, you know, I think we'd love to work with you on that, if any of you guys can do that.
I don't know, toss this around, throw it out, whatever. But if it's non-conforming, there's a house already on there, and you're gonna tear it down, I would think that nothing larger than 110% of the existing structure should be built on that.
Well, I think we need to, yeah, I mean, I think we need to put that in the bylaw, because what they're doing is pushing to the very limit
Oh,
of what the
yeah,
bylaw says.
We've seen it, every week.
Well, tonight we had the what, it's like 9.9. It's right on the,
Yeah.
yeah, it's,
So
And it's
we
right
need
on the
to-
leg.
So if we don't like that, we need to change the bylaw to have it 7% or whatever. If we feel those houses are too big on a half-acre lot, then we need to change. And I think, and we're trying to work on that and get wording down for a change in the bylaw, so it makes it what we want.
Can I propose,
What we as the town want.
can I propose something, Marie?
You
And that is,
absolutely can.
and that is if the Concom and the planning board were to meet jointly,
Yes.
perhaps we could start a dialogue on what the language of that bylaw change could be.
I think that would be wonderful. Can I suggest that to the planning board? Will you guys be
Yes.
happy?
Yes, I think that would
Can
be,
we start this going?
right. That's sooner the better.
I think there's some question, and I'm not sure how you would go about it, but I think there's some question as to whether it should be a percentage. Because if you have a lot that's teeny tiny,
Tonight,
and
it was
that would
0.35 acres.
it would be no longer, if it would not be buildable in today's market or today's zoning. If it's not buildable, if it's non-conforming, then I think that the 10%, allowability of the size of the building is not practical. It should be, if it's a little teeny tiny lot, there's got to be a different way of looking at it than if you've got 50 acres, you
But we
know.
have to change the language to make it be what we want it to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's why a joint meeting might be an appropriate thing to have.
Okay. Let me see if I can work that up.
Okay, and we can be available.
You meet on the opposite Tuesdays that we do. Am I correct?
Yeah, we do. Yep. It's either you or us. We got Tuesdays down.
So I'm happy to do it any Tuesday that you can.
Yeah. me
Okay,
too.
I mean, can we join your meeting or? you can
Either
do
way.
ours?
Sure.
Yeah.
Either way.
Either way is fine.
Okay, and there's a, oh no, I thought there was a fifth Tuesday in April, but there's not.
Our next meeting is the 26th.
Yeah, ours is next week. So I will get this rolling next week at our meeting.
Great.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And listening to Marie reminded me of something else that I think needs to be brought to the table. I wrote to Mary whomever at
Our new circuit rider person, yeah.
and she said, is the Board of Health been advised of this problem? They have been, and they've been there. The septic of the Scourns house is not being encroached upon by this flood, although their basement is. And also, I explained to her that the level of Campusa Bog has come up
Right.
between, according to the little stick that they've got out there on the side of the road, it's up probably about 18 inches above where it normally is.
Which is gonna,
And so as the mat comes up, it pulls the roots out of the bottom and the mat dies. And so has the Board of Health been advised of this? How does that apply here?
I know that the Board of Health has been.
They have been advised because Charlie went to the Scourns house and said, it's not in our bailiwick because your septic system's up here and the bog is down here. Pardon me?
What's up with that second beaver deceiver? Did NCSP ever get back to us?
Yes.
Therein lies the problem, and that is that I would have gladly written to natural heritage.
That thing that I forwarded to you,
It didn't have natural heritage, it said Mary.
they're on it. I mean, they know.
I hope so, because it's just, now, if we get some serious rain, when something will happen is when the water goes over Route 7.
Of course.
And that's not acceptable to the Scourns nor anybody else around
What's
there.
that beaver deceiver thing? How much are those beaver deceivers?
Well, the old beaver deceiver is sitting in the swamp to the downriver side. I think it was 10 grand, what, somewhere around there? No, 5?
I have no idea.
I thought it was like 1,400 or something.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot cheaper.
I mean, it's just a plastic pipe for crying out loud. It's like 12 inches in
Like
diameter.
1,400 or something. And then there was a maintenance contract, which I think was like 600 a year or something like that.
And that lapsed.
I can't remember.
It must have
I
lapsed.
don't know why it would have lapsed. It should have been something that was ongoing.
Skip and Robin said that nobody's been there in 2 years.
The guy that started it retired and didn't want, right? The Beaver Solutions?
Is Mike Callahan still doing it?
I don't know the name.
Mike Callahan was Beaver Solutions. He was the one that we dealt with for the one down on Goodrich Street and a couple others. I think the one on Wallace Road.
So it may be him. I can't say.
And also on Interlake and Cross Road. It was all Mike Callahan. I don't know what's going on now. That would have been something that was a contract with the town, Patrick. At some point.
I hadn't talked to lately. Yeah, I think that if it's $1,400, I'll throw 200. Who else got?
We paid the conservation.
It's like, what are we doing here?
The Conservation Commission paid for a couple of them out of our funds because it was getting
You got 21,000 as your balance.
bad. And then the town held the contract, I'm pretty sure, because we couldn't do that. The town held the contract for the maintenance agreement. This is only vaguely, I'm only vaguely remembering all this. It was probably, 8 years ago? I don't know. Anyway, so that should have been something that should have been regularly billed, I would think, because there were several of them around town that were put in place by Beaver Solutions. I don't know if there was somebody else who did it.
Well, another reason that Marie being with us brought this to my mind is the house that I lived in when I was growing up, directly across the street from her and Keith. has become a swamp. I mean, when I was growing up there, there was a brook that ran through the property.
Still is.
It's a swamp.
Yeah.
On the north side of the brook, we used to mow it. I mean, like cut it like a lawn. And then our big vegetable gardens and flower gardens were on the south side of it, and that got mowed and everything. The whole thing has become phragmite and is growing in. And the people who live there live in Pittsburgh and probably could care less. But I think that we should be aware of the fact that something's going on downstream from that brook that's backing it up. And eventually it's going to end up in Marie and Keith's property too, if it hasn't already.
Yeah, Marie?
It already has, John. I think if you follow what used to be the brook you're talking about, just to the end of the people's yards, it just becomes all phragmite, and there's no real good brook going through there. It's just all hummocks and then water. There is a beaver dam about halfway down to that little pond.
That's what I figured.
It goes all the way across the wetland there. But that's not the only thing. I really think it's not draining out because the phragmites have filled in, and it's just sort of a mat of stuff.
There's a ton of grants
I
available.
think a lot of it is Highland Farm property.
Yes.
You probably know how far that land goes, but I don't think those people own very far down. I think it's Highland Farm property.
Yes, it is. I know that for a fact.
Yes, I think you're right.
And there used to be a little playhouse behind my parents' house.
There still
And
is.
like, yeah, about 30 feet behind that is the Highland Farm property line.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's also used to be a horizontal brook that came down off of Rattlesnake.
There's
And
now it's kind of a ditch. It's
Yeah.
still there. It's sort of eroded itself into a ditch. But yes, and that's about where the beaver dam is, where that brook comes down. But I don't know what you do about all those phragmite. I mean, you'd almost have to dredge or something. I don't know how you make a brook back.
Well, the one that goes through our property from Marshbrook is also one that's totally filled in with phragmites.
It's the same as yours, Sally. It's
And
just-
it used to be a brook that went through there, and then the beavers dammed it up, and now it's a big beaver dam, and the phragmites have taken over, and I think you're absolutely right. that
It's not a brook. It's not even.
It's created a mat, and it doesn't ever go back to the channel
Right.
the way it was.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
John, you'd be very unhappy with that brook now, from what you remember it.
oh yeah, I used to, try and catch frogs.
Yeah.
And I sat on a bee's nest one day and that was the end of that.
All right.
Catching frogs.
Anyone else? Anything else we want to talk about?
Thank you, Marie.
Thank you, Marie.
Be in touch.
Okay.
We made the motion. Do we have a
Yes.
Make a
second?
motion.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye, aye.
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 Good night.